Right, so this one is part 2 of the water series. So this is technically now dream 3 and 4. This is second dream of the triple dream I had on the 18th of December 2024. So I'm going to do that. So dream, as I said, technically dream 3 and dream 4, but it's actually dream 2 of that night. Okay. So this one, completely different environment. So if you imagine the last one I talked to you about, so I'm going to quickly do a recap actually. So first dream, I was in a kind of general sort of, let's say commercial sort of area in a town, and then suddenly water just burst up from below and then reached up really, really high. It was kind of moving like waves. It was dirty, dirty water, and I was just kind of floating in this water. Just came from nowhere, this water. Okay, second dream. Second dream was a tower block, and the tower block, I'm lying down on my back, sleeping rough in an office environment where everybody else is sleeping rough, and water again comes up, raises up to our floor level, maybe comes up to about 1 foot, maybe 2 feet, and then it recedes back down again. That's what that dream's about, and that was based, I think, I think it was based in Vietnam. Can't be 100%, but that was the impression I got, specifically Vietnam. But I do name some other countries around that kind of area that it could have been. But I went by how people kind of looked to determine roughly where that area was. And I should knock a couple of those nations out that I mentioned that don't actually really look the same. So, like the Philippines, for example, I don't think it was the Philippines, but I was just thinking about island sort of areas that looked sort of similar sort of area. But I don't think it was really the Philippines. I think it was more Vietnam, to be fair. Okay, so next dream then. So that's just a quick recap then. So this is very different. So in this one, again, I drop into the dream and I'm in the ocean, quite deep in the ocean. Not like black, not like super, super deep, but very deep blue sort of ocean. And I'm basically outside of what is a submarine. So I'm in front of the submarine. The submarine's to my back, and I'm towards one end of that submarine. And I can, as I kind of look across, I can sort of, if you imagine, I've kind of swum just a little bit out, maybe I don't know, I'm about 4 meters, 5 meters, maybe, from the actual submarine, and I kind of, as I look back, I can look across and I see the length of this submarine. Now this submarine is not like your typical, somebody goes down to look at oceanic sort of life, like the little small like rescue submarines, those kind of very, very compressed in size submarines. This was like a military submarine, so this was big, long submarine. This one, grey in colour, big, long one, and basically, what I was doing was I was just floating out there, and I was weirdly communicating with the aquatic life, specifically actually sharks. So I would see a shark sort of swim in close to me, and it would stop, and I would somehow communicate with it. I guess kind of telepathically is what I would suggest, but I wrote down also through facial expressions and hand gestures and stuff like that, or head movement, or something like that, where it understood. Maybe it was a combination of the two, sort of thoughts plus some sort of movement as well, helped to illustrate what I was trying to say, just like we do, like I'm doing sort of right now with my hands flapping all over the place. So I was sort of discussing stuff with them. Now there was some of these sharks that were friendly and some that were not friendly, and they could be quite aggressive. So what we had on the side of this submarine, again, bearing in mind this is a military submarine, was this big, I'd call it a hatch, but it's not really a hatch. Obviously a hatch is something you'd lift up, isn't it, and lift down and clamp closed, that kind of thing. This wasn't really. So I kind of refer to it a bit more like a cat flap in a way. So if you imagine, you've got on the side of the submarine, you've got this round, kind of like a porthole. So it's bigger. It's a little bit bigger than a person, not much bigger than a person, but it's so a person would sort of come up to it and then swim through and into the submarine. Okay, but it had some sort of an air seal, again, almost like it had a front part to it, something you sort of pushed through, like this cat flap, came out the other side, and that slammed back shut, so no water came in. Obviously, that would never ever work, never work in reality, but that's how it kind of worked. All right, and that would be our way in and out of this submarine for exploration. Again, it wouldn't make any sense. I mean, obviously, you would just go up to the surface and come out, but that's not what we were doing. You know, we were coming out and exploring outside this submarine. So, I mean, normally I would have thought with these other types of submarines, when you come out of them, maybe they have some sort of pressurized bit, do they? And they kind of almost have like an open bottom to it, and then they go through that way. This wasn't like that at all. It was on the side, as I said, towards one end of this submarine, and yeah. So it was, as I said, it was round, and it was made of rubber. This seal thing was rubber, and if you imagine it like so I describe it like a pizza. So if you imagine a pizza from above, it's kind of cut into segments. That's exactly what this was like, and you'd push through this the center of it, and obviously these other parts would just push in, and you'd go through it. And the idea was that it was only big enough, really, for a person to go through. So obviously, if you had a shark start swimming towards you pretty quick, you would just go as fast as you can and just go through this porthole thing, and then seek safety. Okay, wasn't big enough for a shark to do the exactly same thing. Right. So yeah. So that's basically what happens. As I said, I'm communicating with these sharks, but one of them ends up being a bit aggressive, pretty aggressive actually, to the point where I thought this thing was going to just snap me up, gobble me up. So I've decided to, I think with this particular one actually, I knew which ones were the friendly ones and which one were the aggressive ones. The friendly ones were just friendly, they didn't get aggressive, but the aggressive ones would be always quite aggressive, and sometimes they would attack. So I had to obviously be a lot more cautious with those ones than I was the friendly ones. So I think I would go a little bit further out with the friendly ones, but if one of the more aggressive ones came in, I backed up a lot closer to that hatch, so I knew that I could get into that hatch a lot quicker. So that's what happened. So I'd been having these some kind of conversations with these sharks, and one of the aggressive ones turned up. So I backed up a bit closer to the submarine. And as I said, it started getting super aggressive, and I got the impression it was going to attack me. So I just swum in through this seal. Basically, all I saw was me swimming towards this seal, and then it kind of cut scene, and then I was in the submarine. Okay, so I was in the submarine now, and what I found out was that the crew had decided that they were going to take that shark kind of captive for some reason. I don't know what they were going to do with it, to be honest. I mean, what would you do with an aggressive shark to make it not aggressive? Train it in some way somewhere else? I don't know. And this was the open ocean. I mean, I didn't really understand whether they were planning to kill it, planning just to capture it. But at this point, they just captured it. Okay, so it was alive. Okay, and I'll describe what it looked, what happened here, and what it looked like, because I actually went somewhere that I went just after I'd actually logged this stream. Not that, well, no, sorry, this was December, wasn't it? Sorry, no, about May of 2025. No, sorry, I went to this particular coast. Sorry, I went to on a little like 1-day trip sort of thing to the coast in the UK, and they've got all like arcade machines and stuff like that. There was a sort of a playing area where you had, little mini roller coasters and stuff like that. Anyway, there was a shark hung up as part of kind of like decorating the area. It was on a pier, so and I took a picture of that, not in May actually. I took a picture of it in July, which is where we went on our actual holiday there. Was it on July? No, early August. It must have been early August. I took a picture of it, but it was not long after I'd actually logged this in my dream journal, because my dream journal, I shot my first video was around, I think it was the 31st of July 2025. It was the first video I ever shot, and my dream journal, it'd probably taken me about another couple of weeks after that. So I'd probably been writing this maybe sort of mid-July, something like that. But again, early August, I went on holiday, and then it was like, oh, no way, because I completely forgot about it, but it was the exactly how this shark appeared in the dream. Okay, and then I actually went there again yesterday, so that's another reason why I thought I would reshoot the video to a certain extent. Was I know I could take a picture of that shark again and then use that in this video. Okay, so I'm going to quickly do that now. I'm going to just set it up so you can just quickly see a couple of pictures of what that shark looked like. But yeah, basically, if you think of the film Jaws, you know, where you've got Jaws hung up after they've killed it and they hang it up and it's just hanging. That's basically what it was like, but in the submarine somehow. Yeah, bit strange, but again, I'm just going to quickly show you a picture of that, just to really get a picture in there, if I'm honest, and then we'll switch back to the story. Okay, there you go. So you can see, as I said, there's like a pirate ship little ride there, and then you've just got that that shark standing there, so people could like take pictures with their head in the shark and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go to the other picture as well. So there you go. So that's just it from a slightly different angle. But yeah, as I said, that's basically what it looked like. It was tied up somehow in the submarine, either looking like either with ropes or with chains or something like that. Okay, I'll pause again and I'll flip it back around again. Okay, right. So yeah, so where we went from there in the dream was, as I said, I'm in the submarine now. As I said, you've got the shark that is way down the other end of the submarine, and is all tied up in some way. Okay, so again, don't quite know what the real plan was there, but that's what happened. And then what happened next was I'm more, as I said, down one end of the submarine. The shark's down the other end, and suddenly, as I'm just kind of there's no crew around me actually. They're down the other end, actually close to this shark. Where I'm at, I've just come through the the big hole in the side of the submarine. You know, as I said, the cat flap thing. I've just come in, and I guess maybe I'm taking my gear off or something like that. But I'm just standing around, and then suddenly there's this real big sort of big bang sort of thing, and the whole submarine just shook really violently. Just this one big bang, and so obviously I'm thinking, we're in a submarine. What's going to cause that? Well, again, if you bear in mind the fact that I was just outside this submarine a second ago, we're stationary, so really, what could have caused that? So, because at the time I thought, have we hit something? But I got the impression that I've only just come in, so I don't think that we're zooming off anywhere. We were just in the ocean, you know, like what's going to be around this deep that we'd be bashing into. So I thought, oh, maybe it's a torpedo we've been torpedoed and we've got hit. Because what happens anyway is we go from standard light level of just standard like white lights, let's say, you know, in the submarine, to suddenly the lights go into emergency mode, you know, where the lights all turn off and a red kind of emergency light starts flashing. So that's all happening, and there's like a siren going off, you know, that we've got some sort of a problem, like we're in a battle mode or something's gone wrong, and then I start seeing water rushing through the what's it called? Rush, you know, coming into the torpedo quite rapidly, and it's starting to fill up, and it's getting, you know, maybe it's at knee level pretty quickly, and starting to see what would you call it? Sort of like electrical panels start to spark, and you know, have all flashes coming from electrical equipment. So everything on the submarine is just breaking, obviously, and we're flooding, and I'm then worried, thinking because I realised there's a bit of a panic in the submarine, because also that shark that had been tied up has got loose somehow, and so I'm now thinking, oh no, I'm in their environment now. You know, I'm not in the safety of my submarine. Well, I'm in a submarine, but I'm not safe from the outside because the outside's come in. You know, so I'm thinking there's going to be a shark, you know, swimming in our submarine, just basically killing everybody, because this was obviously the aggressive one. And I'm pretty sure that's more or less where it ends. So as I said, you know, they've got what feels like a torpedo hit or something like that, massive bang that shakes the whole submarine. Lights all flashing, red lights, sirens going off, water gushing in, all of that kind of stuff. Sudden, yeah, just panic, just a panic really. Yeah, rising water level. Again, similar in a way to the other ones where there was the tower block rising water, the other one rising water. That's the common theme. Okay, so that's where that one is, and that finishes. So now we'll go on to dream 4. So dream 4 then, again, same night. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. I never seem to be able to talk for very long without needing a drink. Okay, and then we're back. So next dream, dream 4 in the series, but three in this this night, is back to an urban, a kind of urban, town-like environment, just the same as the first one, very similar. So it's like my dream series almost gets bookended by 2 dreams which are very, very similar. Okay, so this one, pretty much, pretty much the same. So again, I'm in a commercial district. It's a little bit different. So as I said, the one I mentioned was like a main street. The other parallel roads all kind of feed off of, to for little small businesses and stuff like that. This one, however, was more like a business district, I would say, in a big city. So I was walking along the pavement sidewalk, and I was walking down this road. Just nothing major as far as a road. It's just a standard sort of inner city road. So traffic going one way, traffic going the other, 1 lane each. There was parked cars as well. So if you think of it as pavement, a row of parked cars, 1 lane going one way, 1 lane going the other way, a row of parked cars, pavement. That was what it basically was. I was on like the nearest side, and in front of me I had I could see buildings. Now I didn't actually like look up really high, but I had the impression that these were big office buildings, and I was just walking along through a commercial office kind of district, I would have said, of a city. That's what it felt like. Everything around me was all kind of office buildings, that sort of thing. And I was just walking along. There was other people walking along the opposite side. It was quite busy. Free flowing traffic though, but quite a few people walking along there. But that's what you would expect. It felt like everyone was going to work. And then, just out of nowhere, suddenly these waves just crash in, and again they lift up all the parked cars, and the cars that were driving along obviously all get lifted up. All of us all get lifted up as well at the same time, and we're all just treading water, but all just looking at each other, just kind of like, what has just happened? Where's this water just come from? So it's not like we were obviously expecting it in any way. It could be that we're quite far inland, or just, again, even a coastal place isn't really going to expect to see that. But yeah, it just came in from nowhere, no warning. Just came flooding in, flooded the streets. The water rises up. The difference though with this water, and this is how it's different for the first 2, is the second 2 dreams, the water's different. Obviously, if you think I'm in the ocean, obviously it's going to be clear water, isn't it? You're in the ocean, and I'm deep in the ocean. This one was clear water as well. So this one was I described it as like crystal clear water. So it wasn't anything like the churned up water of the first 2 dreams. This was clear water, crystal clear water, and we were just floating, bobbing along. Again, just like waves. So I described it just like a wave machine in a swimming pool. We're jumping up, we're going up, we're going down. But both times our feet are not touching the ground at all. It's very deep, very, very deep. It's lifted us up. Not like massively, but I would say, it's easily lifted us up, 30 feet, let's say, roughly, easily that kind of height, but nothing higher than that. I mean, I didn't go like 100 feet or anything extreme, but it was about that. It was quite high. It lifted us up. That we could still, or did we? I'm trying to think whether I had the reference point of buildings anymore. I'm not sure. I can't remember whether we had buildings still, which would give you an idea of height, of course. I'm not sure. I don't actually remember. So yeah, so I'll put that to the side. I don't really remember that, whether all those buildings that I had seen are just completely gone and it was just water all the way over the roofs, or they were still there in some way. I don't really remember. As I said, didn't write it down, but there you go. I was very aware though that, as I said, there was a lot more people a lot more people than there was in the first dream. Much more people. And also, I put here, plus there was people there that I knew. I actually knew people that were lifted up on this water. Okay. So, conclusion, overall thoughts, all that kind of stuff. Well, again, I mean, it was very similar to this one anyway. It was very similar to the first one. In they've been suddenly lifted up in a kind of commercial environment. Difference being dirty water, clean water, a lot more people versus few people, I suppose, in this one. And then obviously the shark dream was completely unlike any of the other dreams at all. So yeah, just a bit of a strange one. So with that one, as I said, I'm going to go into my conclusions now on the next one, and I'm actually going to include a video because I got some crazy confirmations that came up. Okay, so this is one of the series. I think this might have even been the first of its kind actually, where I had something I was watching at the time on TV, a series, just lined up in perfect timing with me writing out my dream journal. You'll have heard me mention this a few times before, where it's happened other times where I've written down a dream, randomly decided I fancy watching this film. Just randomly, where you get a bit bored and this one I do, put this one on, that kind of thing. Where you get bored of the scrolling. Yeah, we've seen that one. Okay, and a film came. I haven't seen that in a long time. Yeah, let's put that one on. That kind of thing. And then it came on, and then it was as close as you can possibly get to what my dream was. It was ridiculous. That one is actually in the Bridge series, but it is the video that accompanies one called Demonic Theme Park or Demon Theme Park, something like that. In the original one, I didn't actually show the video. I thought rather than redoing the whole video again, I'll just add it on to the Bridge series, which has that same video in it. So if you want the video, that you're going to see that in there. But that's really, really phenomenal. And this one is equally phenomenal. So I'm going to get that all teed up, ready to go, and I'll do the conclusions in the next one, which will be part 3. Again, I'll do a super quick recap of all of them, and then we'll go into the meaning. And the meaning is really, really impressive. Okay, loads of scripture, all that kind of stuff. Right, see you on the next one.